Welcome back to the Tuesday Weekend, the podcast that will ignore you until you are done with your phone conversation. I'm Josh. That's Nick. So, phone policy at work. There is yes and there is no. Mostly it is no. According to Google, we touch our phones on average 2,617 times a day. Now, I'm sure I'd love to see the data behind that, but try to keep those touches during work hours at a minimum, say under 1,000. Is it reasonable to ask that you touch your phone fewer than 1,000 times at work? So let's start with the simple. As an employee, when you are on the clock, you probably shouldn't have your phone in your hand. On break, that's just fine. Just don't let that phone extend your break.
At my job, my current job at the hotel, you are not allowed to have your phone anywhere near you. That is in the rules that you sign. Everyone has their phone in their pocket. I see people on their phones all the time. Every job I've had for the past decade or so, I've asked permission to have my phone on the register. The only reason I have it there for 99% of it is to get any messages that my family needs to give me because they won't call me at work. If they need to say, hey, we have an emergency or we have something, they will text me. And being that my parents are older, et cetera, that I just wanted that there just in case. It did come up a couple times where, hey, I got to go. But I'm not sitting there staring at, my Facebook. I'm not staring at my fantasy football teams going, what can I do with this player? And I see that all the time. I mean, I don't pick it up and just stare at it. It's not, you just don't.
I will also say, as a manager, I needed my phone. It was a tool. If Haley's running 15 minutes late, how am I to know that? Or how am I to ask where she is if not texting her or calling her with my phone?
I've had a guest like, oh, who are you texting that's so important? And I'm like, my boss. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, I just had a keg blow and I just want to know, we've got 6 in line and I want to know which one he wants on next. So,
absolutely.
Sorry.
Yep, that's all.
Apologize for working in front of you.
But when I give you the image of a server with their phone in their hand, you know it, at the server station, kind of half tucked behind the corner, really paying more attention to their phone than to their tables. And
or my favorite is the bartender with the phone, with you all sitting at the bar with no empty drinks, and the bartender's like this, looking at their phone just behind the bar, and you're like, trying to get his or her attention, and they're like, hey, it's like, do we another beer? Oh yeah, just a minute. And you're just like, no, I mean, the entire bar wants another beer. Put your fucking phone down.
Right. You can look at memes when you get home. It's fine.
Whenever, as soon as you said that, I had one bartender pop into my head because every time she works, she's watching videos on her phone, and the whole bar is like, can we get drinks?
I've worked with some cooks who will have the football game, and that works for English or Spanish, that one. But the football game on their phone in a usually in a 9-pan up on somewhere in the
so that it gets the nice speaker thing coming out and everyone can hear it. And when there's a replay, the entire line is over in one station.
And everyone's like, and
you're just like, hey, can I get this?
Right.
Please.
Again, from the guest perspective, I'm paying $14 for this salad and I haven't gotten my extra side of ranch, and there she is playing Candy Crush at the server station.
Yeah.
From the manager's perspective, you have 3 tables right now and you are back here on your phone. Are you sure all 3 of your tables are good? Did that guy get his extra side of ranch? And then, of course, from the coworker's perspective, I'm running my ass around and she's back there on her phone and her table just asked me for the side of ranch. No.
In those video shorts, Huddy Bistro, if you haven't seen those, it's hilarious. This one comedian playing all the parts. But he's got one where the manager, he tells, okay, so Nicole, you and Amber can't work together on Tuesdays anymore because nothing gets done. He's like, you're always on your phone. And she's like, oh, well, that's not true. And then the other bar server's like, yeah, I do all the work. And you two just stand in the back on your phones talking about true crime podcasts.
Yeah.
And she's like, you told the manager that? And he's like, I'm sick of doing all the work.
Yeah.
And then you get 2 servers on a phone looking at something, and now you've got 6 to 8 tables not being taken care of. And it happens in every place, every restaurant. If someone says it doesn't happen at my place, bullshit. It sure as hell does.
Well,
I mean, back in the day, it used to be smoke breaks where you'd have to take extra tables while someone went and took, for some reason, say 25 minutes to smoke a cigarette and come back. How's my tables? And it's like, well, 4 of them tipped me very well. Like, oh, I'm like, here's your credit receipts. There's no tip on these. No, they gave me cash because they said I took care of them and you weren't here.
Was talking to another server about this subject who had one of those coworkers who was often on his phone and would just not have any guilt about, if he would take his time then to get that refill, get that side of ranch for the table, and that table slipped him a tip. Absolutely, no doubt.
Yeah,
that's
but
that they did not.
But yeah, I mean, bottom line is the phones should just be gone from restaurants at all.
Yeah.
I mean, if you use them as a tool, it's one thing, but if you're using it to watch the latest roller coaster video on YouTube again.
The one other thing I can think of is as a bartender looking up a drink recipe.
Oh yeah, I actually have. I mean, you see bartenders, the little black books and all that. I actually have a Rolodex in my phone. I found a great app for it and just add all my apps.
Of my bartender friends, that seems to be more common now than pulling up the Boston's drink guide. Mr. Boston?
Mr. Boston's, yeah, which is kind of worthless at this point anyway. I used the last Mr. Boston's I had. I used to hold a window open so I could get better ventilation on the bar.
Yeah, sure. There you go.
That's how much I'd read that. It's like, okay, I know everything in that.
And I really do get that going 5 or 6 hours without looking at your phone can be hard because, I get that dopamine hit and that the average person, I mean, okay, if we break it down 26-17, that's about once, every 8 to 10 minutes throughout the day, you're looking at, or you are looking at your phone. Absolutely. Sometimes when it is slow, that's your reflexes. You pull out your phone, but just as a teammate, it is just the better way to be.
As a teammate, it's better just to not be using your phone while you're working.
Absolutely.
As a dinner guest, it's better to not be on your phone while I I walk up to so many tables with 2 people just staring at their phones and not even talking. It's like, why are you guys even here?
Oh, well, and then, of course, in the kitchen, I did work with one cook who had his phone, was listening to music, had his phone in the chef coat pocket, leaned over to stir the 40-gallon steam kettle of soup. And, of course, chef's joke was that there was no apple in that recipe. In the kitchen or before service, music is okay, but during service, absolutely not on the line. That makes sense. You need to communicate.
I worked in a place where we didn't have music at lunch while we set up when one specific manager worked because she didn't think it was professional. This is while the restaurant is empty. And it wasn't like we were playing something horrendous to anyone's senses. It's just like, you want to hear some music? Yeah, just something in the background while I'm setting the bar up, while I'm setting the tables up, pulling the chairs down. You're not even here.
Given the choice between the two, I will take playing music overall in the dining room over somebody with, an employee with a headphone in.
Absolutely. Yeah, same way. 100%. Like in our kitchen right now, when I show up, I plug the radio in and ask whoever's working that day, what kind of music do you want to listen to? Because I know the radio stations. It's actually a radio that gets radio. It's not even like a cable thing or like it's Spotify. And it's like, I want to listen to this. There's your music. And so we got music in the kitchen all night.
My favorite kitchen I worked at in New York City was actually the one that Trey and I worked at together, Peels on the Bowery and 2nd. And in that kitchen, there were Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, a couple black guys, a couple white guys, and it was basically whoever got there first. Got to choose who was what we were listening to that day. And I will say at that point, this was 2010, 2011, Shakira was the one artist that everybody agreed on. Like nobody was upset when Shakira comes on. And I think
I hate this station. Ooh, Shakira. Never mind.
Shakira, hold on. No, hold on here.
Hold it.
All right, we're going to take another break, and then we're going to look at our phones some more. So stay tuned.